Welcome back to PM Now, a weekly podcast coming to you from the offices of Foresight, Project Control Specialists. My guest now, Dion Khan. Now listen to this. Dion Khan is a project management expert with 17 years' experience in consistently delivering significant results in a range of complex projects, including mining, residential, retail, commercial, government, education, health, sporting, industrial, you name it. Dion is known for delivering outstanding results in mining, construction and property projects, and is the author of the popular report 7 Steps to Bulletproof Project Management that will save you thousands. He is also known as a project problem solver and a strategist, and has a multitude of highly satisfied clients. He's also the director of Liquid Project Management, a successful project management and contract administration firm. That's a hell of a wrap. Welcome, Dion.
Thank you, Jamie. Great to be here today on the PM Now podcast.
You're a AFL follower?
I'm a long-sweating Richmond supporter, and I can qualify that the last premiership was 1980. And we've come ninth many times.
But you're loyal. Game. I can see the loyalty.
I love it, mate. They got the Richmond boxes on underneath.
Yes, and that's got the yellow stripe diagonal, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's have a chat about, I see recent tenders is the first question.
Yeah.
Explain to me recent tenders.
We've been involved in a number of recent tenders right across the board in project delivery and project management training. And I'd like to just reiterate some of them to you today. The first one we've been involved with recently is the Transport Network Recovery Program.
Oh, yeah.
The Kungam-Lindsay Highway. It's a $50 million project that was due to the Queensland floods back in 2011.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. The second one is a $3.5 million civil project at Beenleigh, again for government. There's also a $2.5 million bridge works, again for the government down at Logan. In the project management training side, we've currently got a government tender that we're waiting on a result on, and that's to deliver project management training over the next 3 years. We go across to the land of the long white cloud. We've tendered on a community centre in Auckland that has significant cultural heritage over there with a Maori influence as well. And we've currently got a tender going at the Cairns Airport. We have a good client that we've done some work for in the past in the airport industry. So we're currently tendering that for them, and we should have a result on that in about 2 weeks.
Man, you got more arms than Henry the Octopus.
It's tender city at the moment. It's tender time, and a lot of people are saying there's not much work out there. There is, and you've got to delve hard and fast for it. We've also got an expression of interest in with the Ministry of Education in New Zealand. What I'd like to say about tenders at the moment is in one of our debriefs recently in one of the government tenders, the gentleman commented on the assessment panel that they normally get 3 tenders for these particular projects. Now they're up around 9 and 10 tenders.
So everyone's pitching.
Everyone's pitching. It's reflective of the current economic climate, I guess.
Okay. Here's the question. Does price win tender?
Does price win tender? Price has an influence on tender. It certainly does. You've really got to understand your project documents and what the tender calls for. A lot of tenders give you a weighting, so a percentage weighting of what component price is, of what component your team is, what component your skill set is, what component your systems are, and your recent history. And just to give you an example on that, I'll show you the difference in the weightings on a number of tenders we've been involved in. One of them, 40% was price. The second one, 40% was approach. So approach, methodology, systems, the team you put forward, the experience. And additional to that was 20% on price. So in that particular tender, only 20% weighted on price. Another one in particular we've done, I'll give you an example on Kansas, 90% price, 10% local content. And that's very important to understand the local content.
Yeah, so what you're saying, you have to understand.
Yeah, you do. And one we're looking at the moment with Mackay is strongly local content. Price is a factor, but local content is certainly a big factor as well. Another one as an example, price is 30%, approach is 50%, and technical capability is 30%. So it's really important to understand the weightings and go after your weightings in that particular order so you can nail the highest ticket items.
Well, let me ask you this: with nine tenders for each job.
Not that anyone's counting.
Well, I'm holding you to your qualification. Yeah. How do you compete against, say, the larger players?
Yeah, very good question. And at the end of the day, it's what you look like. We've partnered up with a fairly significant engineering firm that we didn't have a particular skill set in. So we're not registered engineers. They are registered engineers, and about 3 of the tenders required registered engineering. So we partnered up there, we approached them and said, listen, we've got these tenders, we think we've got the skill set in project management, contract administration, you've got the skill set in the engineering side. How about we partner up, put a submission forward and have a go at this?
And you look much better.
You look much better. So it's really important to understand, what the client wants in the documents and what you need to look like. So once you put that forward and you get an opportunity, you can demonstrate that you are good at the job and you can do it the job, then the next time they'll come back to you. And it's about bringing the right project team together for the right project.
Well, let me ask you this then. I have in front of me here demonstrating project systems.
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
Yeah, project systems, a lot of the time your tenders will ask you to demonstrate what management systems, what management framework.
Okay, so you look good and then they want to know how good you really are.
How are you going to deliver it, how are you going to manage it, how are you going to mitigate the risk. Project governance is obviously a big one, which is a management framework, which key decisions are made. To give you an example of some of the other systems is a project management plan, a PMP, so that enables you to manage the project in accordance with the 9 functions of project management. Your contract administration system, how you deal with extensions of time, how you deal with variations, how you deal with requests for information, how you deal with document control. Then you go down to all your quality management.
It seems to me very difficult.
Yeah, it's intense, and as we enter more and more a challenging environment in the economy, these systems are becoming what clients are more and more wanting. Not to say that they didn't previously.
No, but they're checking them and looking
Absolutely.
at them and wanting to feel comfortable that you've got it all in place.
They're getting serious about it. Not that they weren't previously, but more so than certainly I've experienced. There's additional systems in there around risk management, which is a international standard, 31000. Also your quality management, which is an international standard, which is 9001. And then you go into all your environmental systems, your ISO 4001's example. So whatever particular tender you are working on, more often than not will nominate what sort of systems you have in place or what sort of systems that need to be implemented.
Yeah.
And more often than not, your quality management will always be there as an ISO 9001.
So you wouldn't want to start implementing systems, you want to try and have the systems in place before you...
And you want to demonstrate that you have a system in place, you have some corporate governance, you have some management framework.
Are you talking about teams before?
Yeah.
The team offered?
Yes.
Explain.
Yeah, very important. As all these items that we're talking about today is very, very important. And I'll give you an example of a lesson learned that we've just gone through. On one of the government tenders, the main roads, it called up for an RPQ, a registered practicing engineer in Queensland, and it called up 5 years experience. We'd put forward a gentleman that had 4 years experience. And in a normal course of events, that's satisfactory experience.
Yeah.
But since they now have 9 and 10 parties to choose from, they're a little bit more selective and the criteria is a lot more tougher.
So if someone else has got someone with 5 and you got one just under with 4...
Yeah. Now, we didn't lose any points on that, but it was a
but
note.
your grip on the tender slips.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And it's something we were aware of, but we didn't think it'd be an issue at the end of the day. So that's something we're going to carry forward in our lessons learned for our following tenders to learn off that particular item.
So the team offered has got to be cracking hot.
Yeah, the team offered.
And cover what they're asking.
Yeah, exactly right. It's no use putting forward a team that they're not really calling up at the end of the day. If they're calling up, contract administration, demonstrating experience in hospital work, it's no use putting up contract administration's experience in civil work. No use putting forward a project management team from a high-rise component when you've got bridge works projects. It's really important to tailor your team to actually what the requirements are, because they do get checked. And I know of a situation on a club down in New South Wales where the project manager came in with the team that was offered by the successful builder, and they came in and said, no, we're not using this team, we want this other team. So it really is important. It can be make or break in a tender situation.
Sounds like you're talking about Ricky Stewart.
No comment.
All right. Well, let's close it up here with like tender follow up. Do you, when you've pitched and you've done it all, what's your follow up?
Follow up amazes me actually, and what amazes me about it is the lack of follow up. That a lot of people I talk to in the industry, they just do not do the simple, basic things in terms of following up their client.
Gary touched on this earlier in the program about these simple things.
Yes, it's basics, and I do a lot of project management training around the place, and what we're really getting back to training at the moment is the basics, the fundamentals, to get back to the key disciplines everyday life. So follow up is number one and foremost, and to ask for a debrief. A lot of the time the client will sit down with you and go through your tender and tell you where you may have fallen short, where you need to improve, how to present it, what lacked, what didn't lack. So you can get that feedback.
Well, absolutely necessary information.
Critical. Considering a lot of the time you spend thousands, and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars on preparing a tender that you don't see any return for straight away.
Yeah.
So that'd be number one, I'd say. We touched on before about document your lessons learned. So what you learn out of your debrief, what you learn out of your feedback from your client, document it so you can share that with the project team so you know not to make that particular mistake before. The problem with lessons learned, though, is we don't learn from lessons learned quite often.
Well said.
That's the challenge. But the third thing I'd like to say about that is leave a good closing impression with a client. So don't get all nasty and upbeat about it. Just keep the door open, because there will be another opportunity that will follow up with him, and keep in touch with him from time to time.
I would find that hard to do. I'm such a bitter man. I'd be tempted to break one of those 3 rules.
Carlton supporters generally are, they, Jamie?
Going, you didn't choose me, eh? Well, see if I'm going to forget that, and they'll have to throw me out. It's happened before. Well,
we might get you on the tender team, Jamie.
Oh, mate, yeah. Well,
business development, do the follow-up.
I can do the business lunch. Well, Dion, thank you very much for coming in. I've been speaking to Dion Khan, project management expert. And before you go, before you leave the building, I'll have a quiet chat to you about the 7 steps to bulletproof project management that will save me thousands, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Jamie.